How's it going, Laser Bruce's up, Bobby Sixkilla, and welcome back to Root Double. Yuri's just gone to bed, and as we turn the light off, we hear a soft voice from behind us. I don't know who it's going to be. Marshadow, maybe? Hey, Hikaden. You're afraid, aren't you? That must be Yuri. Only Yuri calls him Hikaden. Huh? Natsuhiko jumped back and looked at Yuri. Afraid? Of what? Afraid of losing your peaceful days. Afraid that this cycle of repetitive days will come to an end. Yuri's silhouette rose from the darkness. You're afraid that if you do anything differently, something unexpected will happen to your peaceful days, aren't you? Afraid of getting others wrapped up in your actions, even if you're fine acting on your own. Yuri's tone of voice was different from usual. What's going on? Yuri's panic disorder had been triggered many times in the past before, but it had always been limited to when someone had tried to take her outside. But this is different. He wasn't trying to take her outside, and she didn't seem to be having a panic attack. Yuri continued in spite of Natsuhiko's confusion. But Hikaden, you're no longer the child you were back in those days, are you? You may have already gained the strength necessary to overcome your sadness, and you don't even realize it. Yuri, what are you saying? Yuri was lit by the moonlight shining through the window. But the light was indistinct, leaving her expression ambiguous. I think a lot of things will start happening to you from now on, Hikaden. Fun things, painful things, and things you cannot overcome without courage. That's pretty much what Mr. Ukita said to us. But they're all things you surely mustn't avoid. Yuri's prediction became gradually more ominous, which disturbed Natsuhiko. Yuri? Are you already half asleep by any chance? You're sleep talking, aren't you? Do you really think it's that obvious an answer? But I mean, usually you're already asleep at this time. What time? To answer her question, Natsuhiko took one look at his watch, and his eyes popped out. What? His watch had broken before he'd realized it. Not again. The hands were frozen in the same way they were this morning. No way. Why? Natsuhiko stared through the darkness at the dial in disbelief. The watch dial read 9:16, 6:19. Early morning, 6 days from today. September 16th. Hikaden, can you hear me? Natsuhiko opened his eyes upon hearing Yuri's voice. Thank goodness you're okay. Yeah. Natsuhiko strained his consciousness together as he stood up. He seemed to have had a dream in the short time he was unconscious. Through the smoke and smog, he rushed over to Mashiro. Natsuhiko, we heard an explosion. Are you okay? It's the blonde girl. Wait, where are we? Do you remember the time and current situation? That's Salyu? The blonde girl that was looking at us? Time? He looked at his watch on reflex, but it had been broken. The moment he saw it, he remembered that today was September 16th. That's right, I'm trying to find a way out of this facility. But along the way he encountered Yuri, despite her never leaving the house, and immediately afterwards, they got caught in an explosion. All around him were wisps of flame flickering in the air, perhaps due to the explosion. Yuri, let's get out of here. Mashiro and the other girls stared in confusion at Natsuhiko's exclamation. Yuri? What happened with Yuri? Well, I'm surprised too, but Yuri's here in this facility. Huh? Mashiro and the other girl looked around in shock. Yuri was standing in the smoke. How could Yuri be... I thought she wouldn't leave the house. Maybe she followed us because she was worried. The moment those words left his lips, an announcement rang out over the intercom. This is an emergency broadcast. Several explosions have just occurred within the facility. The explosions have occurred primarily near each emergency staircase. Well, how convenient. Currently, some of the emergency staircases from Area 2 and onward are okay, but even those could collapse at any minute. It's dangerous. All personnel, please evacuate to the surface level immediately. Natsuhiko gasped as he heard the desperate voices screaming. The situation was critical. He didn't understand why Yuri had come here, but there was no time to ask her. Now that it's come to it, let's take Yuri with us, so all 4 of us can escape together. Yeah. Sally, did the Area 1 elevator look functional? The girl beside Mashiro answered. Unfortunately not. Looks like the elevators are out of service. Our only escape route is to find the safe emergency staircase. Let's go then. Area 2's up ahead. Everybody nodded to Natsuhiko in consent, and they all started to run. As he ran, Natsuhiko muttered listlessly. I had a dream of that day. 6 days ago, on September 10th. September 10th? If you think about it, our everyday lives seem to change that day. That was the day I first used telepathy, and the day Yuri made her prediction. It all started on that day. Yuri made a prediction? What kind of prediction? She said that lots of things would start happening to me. Hey Yuri, what made you say that? Yuri didn't reply. At that moment, they came across a closed gate at the end of the hallway. A dead end? Huh? But they said all the gates were unlocked. Apparently the gate had warped slightly, due to either the explosions or the fires, and was stuck shut. Natsuhiko, did we turn back? No. The path back was blocked by flames. It was too late to turn back now. We've got no choice. Let's wrench it open manually. Everyone lend me a hand. Yeah. They jumped to the gate and strained themselves hard. The gate creaked and started to open little by little. However... Ow! What's wrong, Mashiro? My nail. On closer inspection, part of her nail had torn off, and blood was oozing from her finger. That hurts like a bitch, man. Ouch. Are you okay? We'll be fine by ourselves, so you go wait with Yuri. Okay. Mashiro stepped back as the others returned to prying open the gate. The fire raged closer from behind. If they didn't act quick, they would burn to death. But nevertheless, a certain feeling rose up in Natsuhiko's chest. That reminds me, something similar happened just the other day. What day was that? That's right, it was the morning after Yuri had made that bizarre prediction. The moment that thought crossed Natsuhiko's mind. That could have been the only prediction. Couldn't have been the only prediction I made. Yuri whispered right beside him. Huh? The noise faded away into the distance, so that all he could hear was Yuri's voice. Fun things, painful things, and the things you cannot overcome without courage. But they're all things you surely mustn't avoid. Yuri? Why is she saying that sort of thing now? No, how could she even tell what I'm thinking? Those 2 questions came up in his head, but he formed neither of them into words. Yuri alone continued to speak. I asked you many different questions after that, didn't I? Can you answer those questions? Can you handle those answers? Each word Yuri spoke sent shudders into Natsuhiko's mind. No, I know you can handle them. So remember that you've obtained the strength to handle the answers. Remember that no matter the questions, you will answer them correctly. And then Yuri fell silent. Silence filled the area. Not a sound could be heard. No, one sound could be heard. The ticking of a watch. Natsuhiko's eyes snapped to his watch. Before he'd realized it, the watch that should have been broken had begun to mark the passage of time once again. Impossible. How? The date and time displayed 9/11, 6:29. Early morning, 5 days ago.
Why are we here? ここの世界
What a setup. I'm ready for some time travel hijinks. You know I love me some time travel hijinks. Let's look at Zero Escape. Here. Huh? Hearing someone call out to him, Natsuhiko suddenly snapped out of his daze. Mashiro was there before his eyes. Is that my phone dinging? Hang on a second. Sorry. God damn it. Mashiro was there before his eyes. Huh? I'm... at home? He had the feeling he was somewhere completely different just a moment ago. But there's no way he could have gone out this early in the morning. It's probably just his imagination. Am I still half asleep? Come again? What do you mean, come again? You told me to show you my hand, remember? Did I? We're already maxed out with you. We're good. Yeah, I tried to pry open a stubborn bottle and hurt my finger. Ah, sorry, I forgot. He took a closer look at Mashiro's finger and, sure enough, there was a small wound on it. Looks painful. I'll put a bandage on it. Natsuhiko took a bandage out of the medicine box and wrapped it around Mashiro's finger. You're so careless, Mashiro. I'm so ashamed. Natsuhiko finished wrapping the bandage. Alright, that should do it. Thanks. Alrighty, guess I'll go whip up some breakfast then. Hang tight. And with that, she went back to the kitchen. Before Chapter 2. An everyday sight. A peaceful morning just like the last. Eventually, Yuri came out of her room too. Hikiden, Mashidon, good morning. Good morning, Yuri. Good morning, Yuri. After an exchange of salutations, Yuri waited to eat breakfast with the other two. Natsuhiko enjoyed these leisurely mornings of his. Okay, food's ready. Help me carry it over. Roger that. Yay, breakfast, breakfast. Natsuhiko and Mashiro laid out the breakfast for three on the table. Thanks for the food. And thus another ordinary morning began. After breakfast was over, Natsuhiko sighed. Whew, thanks for the food, I loved it. Me too, it was delicious again today, Mashidon. Okay then, let's get to school. We've lazed around a little too much. Natsuhiko hustled to get himself ready for school. And then he and Mashiro bade farewell to Yuri. We'll be off then, Yuri. Bye, Yuri, see you later. Okay, take care, you two. And with that voice at their backs, Natsuhiko turned on the lights and left. And once they reached the bus stop to wait for the bus, Mashiro cheerfully mused. Say, Natsuhiko, shouldn't you be a little more excited to get to school today? Why's that? I mean, look, yesterday you were able to use telepathy, remember? You can tell the teachers so they can give you your ability level 1 certification, don't you think? Oh, that. But it's against the rules. True, yesterday Natsuhiko did use telepathy at the scene of the accident, albeit just once. However, no matter how much he tried, he couldn't do it a second time. Well, sure, I may have used it once, but I don't feel like making a report just for that. If I reported it to the teachers, I'd have to take a level certification exam, wouldn't I? Obtaining ability level 1 certification made tuition slightly cheaper. However, you had to perform several tests of telepathy ability in front of your homeroom teacher to obtain it. Honestly, I'm not confident I could take it. Yesterday was just a fluke. What? You're giving up that easily? Obviously, let's crank ourselves up just a little bit. Maybe that'll help him. There we go. Oh, I see. You just don't want to embarrass yourself in front of Miss Enna. Well, I guess there's that too, but more importantly, I'm not all that interested in ability levels. I don't care if I stay ability level 0 forever. But it would make it, if your tuition gets cheaper, then your mum wouldn't have to work so hard. You know? And then she could be at home. Really? Well, if you say so. What are you implying? Huh? No, nothing. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in using telepathy. And I was also thinking, if only you could use psychic powers, you'd be able to bring smiles to everyone's faces. What's that supposed to mean? It's a line from the first episode of the Beyond Beyond voice drama I bought yesterday. Oh. Natsuhiko shrugged his shoulders. And right around then, the bus arrived. Natsuhiko and Mashiro boarded the bus and headed to school. As soon as they arrived at school, they heard the usual clamour of telepathy. Miss Munakata, good morning. Even if you turn me down, I won't give up on you. You again? How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying these things with untargeted telepathy? More importantly, who are you even? Why can't you just confess verbally like a man? I'm too shy. This is the only way I can confess to you. Does it look like I care? I don't even know your characteristic brainwave form, so you're making me use untargeted telepathy too, you know? Forget it. I'm going for a straight answer. Out low. Look, I can still hear you. What, a curveball? How's that? Psychological warfare? Using deliberately leaky telepathy? Damn it, wipe that smug look off your face. Be honest with me, Shin. Have our secret talks always been leaked out to the entire school? Yeah, damn, I didn't realise it either until yesterday. It's no wonder the girls give me cold stares. We can't let things go on like this. Time for some secret training. Natsuhiko and Masato walked down the hallway, trying to ignore the noise. And once they got into the classroom and sat in their seats, the bell rang. Soon enough, Ina walked in. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. That's what I like to hear. Now then, we got a little surprise for you all today. A brand new friend is joining our class. Whoa, a transfer student? Is it a girl? Indeed she is. Now then, Miss Sanomiya, please come in. Ina turned to the class door and called out to someone outside. Oh, God, it's you. And in response, a short girl walked into the classroom. Natsuhiko had seen that girl before. Whoa, no way, a blondie? Is she half Japanese? She's so tiny and cute. Isn't she a little too tiny? What is she, an elementary schooler? The introduction of the sweet, precious little girl had the class ecstatic. But in contrast to the excitement, Natsuhiko's face merely went stiff. That girl! There was no doubt about it. That was the very same girl that had been staring at Natsuhiko and Masato at the scene of the accident yesterday. Even the stuffed animal in her arms looked familiar. She had to be the same girl. That girl is now my classmate? Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself now. At that signal, the girl opened her lips. Louise, Yui, Sanomiya. And that was it. That was apparently all she had to say about herself. Miss Sanomiya's mother is from France, and so she's been living there most of her life. She hasn't had much experience with Japanese culture, so she might feel a little lost, but no, I don't feel particularly lost. There's no need for concern. Oh, well, if you say so. She shut Ina down in fluent Japanese, but Ina quickly recovered and continued where she left off. Miss Sanomiya is only 13 years old, but she skipped grades and was admitted to this class. Incredible. So she's one of those child prodigies? Perhaps, but before that, she's still a member of your class, so get along with her. Okay, everyone? Okay. Ever since around 2025, even Japanese schools started allowing for students to skip grades, so a 13-year-old high schooler was not entirely out of the ordinary. But they were still uncommon. This is the first time Natsuhiko had actually seen one. Well then, Miss Sanomiya, homeroom is about to begin. Please take a seat for now. Your seat will be in the very back by the window. Ina pointed to the seat next to Masato's. Understood. Acknowledging the teacher indifferently, the girl named Sanomiya started walking to her new seat. Her gaze locked upon Natsuhiko the entire way. What's with her? We've already got her maxed out too. I'm just going to be nice to everyone, and we'll see how that turns the game. And then next time, if we get royally fucked, we'll change it. But she said nothing, slipping in beside Natsuhiko to reach her seat. Hey Natsuhiko, she's pretty cute, huh? Yeah, she sure is. She's kind of like a doll, isn't she? I guess half Japanese girls really are cute. Sure, I guess there might be a genetic component to it, but regardless of how you put it, she was an eye-catching, beautiful girl. But it kind of looked like she was staring at you, huh, Natsuhiko? Maybe, I guess. You don't know her by any chance, do you? No. But things are getting pretty interesting, don't you think? Huh? Interesting how? We got a half-Japanese transfer student. How often does that happen? We gotta make friends with her for sure. You sure are infatuated with her. As they spoke, Ina continued on with homeroom, and after a few short announcements, okay, that's the end of morning homeroom. See you this afternoon, everyone. Ina departed the classroom with a farewell. And as if waiting for that cue, all the girls made a beeline to Sanomiya's desk. Hey, Miss Sanomiya, where in France did you live? What did you like to do on your days off? Why'd you move at such an odd time? In light of all these questions, I lived in Andrassy? I read on my days off. I moved because of family circumstances. That's all. Anything else? She answered all the questions in one breath and then looked at each of the girls. The girls fell silent at her intense gaze. Is there a problem with that? No, there's not really a problem, but... Well, you know, we were kind of worried you might have trouble adapting to an environment where everyone's older than you, so... Ah, yeah, that. So we thought we'd try and come and bring up conversation for you. No need for your concern. I don't want any special treatment for my age. An age difference of 2 or 3 years is not very significant relative to the human lifespan. Yeah, I guess. Understand? Then please, if you would treat me normally. Sanemiya's bluntly answered as she took a paperback book out of her bag. Not an ounce of warmth could be felt from her voice. What was that all about? Did she just not like being interrogated, or was that a show of her pride as a child prodigy? In any case, she definitely seemed the type to distance herself from other people. Sorry for speaking out to you so suddenly. Hey, let's go. Yeah. One by one, the girls left Sanemiya alone. Like, that didn't discourage a certain other girl from approaching her. Mashiro. Yeah. Hey, bonjour, Mademoiselle Louise? It was Mashiro. Sanemiya shuddered for a second before glaring at her. Huh? Bonjour? Bonjour. Oh good, my bonjour got through to you. Thank goodness, I wasn't sure of myself there. Awkward silence. Mashiro's the best, I love Mashiro. Mashiro darted her eyes back and forth, perhaps looking for a topic of conversation, before resting those eyes on the book Sanemiya was holding. Oh, I see you like reading. How tasteful. One of my friends loves books too, actually. Really? I've read that book too. That's a famous sci-fi young adult fiction masterpiece, right? Right? No matter what Mashiro said, Sanemiya would not humour her with a proper reply. Natsuhiko held his breath, watching their little exchange out of the corner of his eye. What do you need? Huh? No, well... since we're classmates from now on, you know, I thought maybe we should be friends. Mashiro said, heeding Sanemiya's wish not to be treated as a younger child. However, Sanemiya herself merely furrowed her eyebrows in displeasure. That's enough, Mashiro, give up. She's clearly rejecting you. Natsuhiko was about to stop Mashiro, but right before he could, Sanemiya murmured, Suit yourself. An unexpected reaction. He was sure she was going to reject her. Yay, so allow me to make a proper introduction. I'm Mashiro Toba, and this is my friend, Natsuhiko. Wait, what? Natsuhiko jumped, startled to hear his own name come up. Hey, Mashiro, don't just go introducing me on your own. What are you being so stiff for? A friend of a friend is a friend, right? Now, go greet her properly. You are her elder. Mashiro pulled Natsuhiko to his feet by the arm, so there was really no way he could back down at that point. Well, I'm Natsuhiko Tinkawa. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Now then, what should we call you? Miss Sanemiya? Louise? Yui? They're all so cute. I just can't pick one. It doesn't really matter which. Oh, I know. I'll jam all three together and call you Salyu. How's that? Whoa, Mashiro. Giving her a nickname right off the bat? Don't you think you're jumping the gun a little bit? Not at all. Remember what Yuri used to say? Making nicknames is a surefire way to bridge the distance between friends. I mean, we're good. Just keep rolling. So how about it? How does Salyu sound? I think it's cute, personally. Well, I don't see why not. Really? Mashiro nodded to herself repeatedly. Huh. Natsuhiko was a little surprised at how easily the nickname was approved. It sure was easy. Well, did you happen to like that nickname? I guess. She answered quite simply. But she did really like it. Or was she just sick of Mashiro talking and wanting to get it over with? Probably the latter, I'd say. So, Salyu, once again, nice to meet you. Sanemiya, now christened Salyu, had begun the day with a thoroughly cold attitude. But just like that, she was gradually eased to becoming Mashiro and Natsuhiko's new friend. The first lesson of the day was English. A clear voice rang out in the silent classroom. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Salyu was chosen by the teacher right off the bat to read out of the textbook. Once Salyu finished reading, the teacher spoke. Excellent, your pronunciation was quite beautiful. Now, can you translate it into Japanese, Miss Sanemiya? People are unable to see things accurately except with the heart. The essential details cannot be seen with the eyes. That's right, you may return to your seat. Sully slid back into his seat, her expression remaining unchanged despite the praise. The unconcerned look on her face perhaps implied she didn't really think that was a big deal. Now then, about the grammar used in this example sentence. With complete disregard to the teacher who was continuing the lesson, Mashiro whispered, Sully, your pronunciation was just as amazing as I expected. Your voice was so enchanting. But Sully merely turned her head and looked the other way. Oh, silent treatment, huh? Well, yeah, we're in the middle of class. Eyes forward, Mashiro. But despite accosting Mashiro for doing the same thing, Natsuhiko sneaked a peek at Sully himself. She gazed listlessly at the screen with a look on her face that made her seem quite hard to approach. A child prodigy, huh? Perhaps there really were concrete things that separated the geniuses from the ordinary. If only she had some sort of weak spot he could use to find some common ground. At least that's what Natsuhiko thought, but the next class was physical education, which only gave Sully an opportunity to display even more talent. Ha! With a yell, Sully did a handstand, leg spread. And without falling over, she proceeded to cross the balance beam while spinning around. Whoa! The teacher and students cheered. Even Natsuhiko and Mashiro watched with gaping mouths. Wow, she's moving around like some kind of fighting game character. Yeah, and this is just regular old phys ed. The phys ed teacher merely instructed the students to use the balance beam in a freestyle performance, and yet she calmly pulled off that bold move. It appeared it wasn't just her intelligence that was superior to the ordinary 13-year-old, but her physical ability too. Just how much will heaven bless her before they think she's had enough? Beauty, intelligence, physical fitness. That's like a straight, or a flush. A straight flush. Mashiro, you sound like a geezer with that metaphor of yours. And since she's going to this school, that obviously means she can use BC too, doesn't it? So it's not just any straight flush, but a royal flush. Oh man, she's the perfect girl. While Mashiro was getting herself excited, Natsuhiko only had a vague feeling that something wasn't right. Why would a girl like that bother transferring to a school like ours? Probably to study BC, but could there be some other reason? Perhaps since his meeting with her left such an impression, there were quite a few things that bugged him about her. But in the end, aside from Sully's bold move, nothing particularly odd happened that period, and thus morning classes came to a close. After lunch break, an extracurricular lesson was scheduled for the afternoon classes. The students were to board a bus for a field trip to an outside facility. Natsuhiko and the others left the school with Ina. And as they waited at the bus stop in front of the school gate, Mashiro talked to Sully again. Sully, how was the cafeteria food? Normal. They were apparently talking about the food they ate just a while ago. Normal, huh? So how long is she going to keep up the lone wolf act? I was just a little surprised. Huh? About what? The system for buying your own food. I thought all food was supposed to be served to you. Natsuhiko couldn't help but interject at her odd statement. Food's supposed to be served to you? Is that how it is at Rich Girl Skills? I don't know what you mean by Rich Girl Skills, but I personally have never gone and bought my own food before. Really? Natsuhiko was taken a little by surprise, but Mashiro on the other hand spoke calmly. I guess French schools really are such high society establishments. Well, if you come across anything else you don't quite understand, don't hesitate to ask. Anything I don't understand? Sully pondered Mashiro's offer for a little bit and then... What's that? She pointed outside the school gate and inquired. Sully's finger was aimed at a camera overlooking the street in plain sight. Oh, that's a security camera. Security camera? For keeping the students under surveillance? Not quite, it's just to make sure nobody suspicious tries to get into the school. That reminds me, I saw a lot of those around town yesterday too. Are they everywhere? Yep. There are security cameras all over Rokume City to keep a careful eye on any suspicious people. Mashiro explained pridefully. The security cameras established high levels of public order within the city. What an odd city. Something feels a little off. True, I guess it does have its peculiarities. It is a government-designated top secret city after all. What's that? I think it's probably a Japan-only thing. I know. Natsuhiko, you're into social studies, right? You explain it. Huh? Me? It seemed like Mashiro wanted to make Natsuhiko and Sully talk. Natsuhiko sighed and started explaining. So basically, the city is designed by the government as a special zone for science, so heavy regulations are imposed to prioritize safety first. And to enforce those regulations, we have various systems and devices installed around the streets, including those security cameras. What other sorts of systems are in place? Let's see, there's a complex process you need to go through to move, I guess. And just to leave the city, you need to notify City Hall beforehand. Why so thorough? There are a lot of research facilities in the city, so there are warranted concerns of industrial espionage. I bet they expect nothing less than perfect security. Many of the facilities carry on important research involving national policy, so they need to be careful of any information leaks. Exactly. There are even rumours that phone calls and emails are filtered to detect leaks too. So what do you think, Sally? Doesn't it sound like the whole city's a top secret laboratory? It's so cool and sci-fi-like, don't you think? Sally stared in wonder at Marchetto's pressing question. There you go again with your delusional babbling, Marchetto. When you've lived here from birth, it all becomes a normal sight, doesn't it? The security cameras are essentially just window stickers that say, police on duty. The innocent should have nothing to fear. But the security seems a little excessive to me. Not at all. The heightened security actually gives us peace of mind. After all, we've got that thing in our city. Marchetto pointed to the bus stop's provided map as she spoke. And drawn on the edge of the map, the outskirts of town, was a huge hexagonal building. What's that? That's Labo, Rokume City's largest research facility. It's Japan's Model Atomic Energy Research Institute. Natsuhiko stiffened at the sound of those words, because that was the very same singular thing that bothered him about the city. Labo, its proper name being the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization, an independent administrative corporation that developed technology and conducted research on atomic energy and its biological effects. It was a national facility, but its management was entrusted to Rokume City. One thing was special about this facility. There was a small-scale nuclear reactor housed within the premises for research purposes. They used it to perform several tasks, from nuclear fission experiments to nuclear fusion reactor development, an enormously profitable field of research. And for the risks the research brought, the national government provided subsidies to the city. As a result, the formerly ordinary Rokume City was reborn as a city of scientific research it was today. In terms of economics, industry and science together, Labo could very well be said to be the town's core. If there are any industrial spies, that would be their first target. They say they've got world-class industry leaders in both researchers and equipment. And Natsuhiko's mother is the face of those industry-leading researchers, isn't she? Marchetto smiled as she brought up the subject. I guess. But Natsuhiko looked slightly ashamed about it. Natsuhiko's mother, Dr. Miyoko Tinkawa, was a researcher at Labo. Natsuhiko didn't quite know everything about her credentials, but he knew that she was an apparently world-leading physicist. However, Natsuhiko wasn't very fond of his cool-headed researcher of a mother. True, I guess the research results Mum's team producers do provide the city with huge profits, and both the town's prosperity and our livelihoods benefit from it, but still. True enough, Natsuhiko's mother had quite a high salary. But despite that fact, Natsuhiko really didn't like the facility of Labo itself that much. And it wasn't just because he didn't get along with his mother. The real reason had to do with Natsuhiko's personal past. If only I didn't go to Labo that day. A bit of regret spread through his heart. What's wrong, Natsuhiko? Why the sudden silence? Huh? It's nothing. Anyway, when's the bus gonna get here? The moment he said that, the bus came rolling in. Okay, everybody, there are no assigned seats, so arrange yourselves however you'd like, okay? In that case, let's sit close together, you two. Ah, sure, I get the feeling the other boys are glaring at me, though. Sally looked like she wanted to say something, but eventually she just nodded at Marchetto's words and boarded the bus. Okay, looks like we're all here. Ina called out to her students. This is the mecca of BC research in Rokume City, the Parapsychology Research Center. The Rokume City Parapsychology Research Center, or the PRC for short. As Rokume City's largest BC research facility, it had achieved many research breakthroughs in the past. Now then, class, let's come on in. Natsuhiko and the rest of the class followed Ina, who seemed oddly excited for the field trip. Once the class was inside, a staff member in charge of guiding visitors began to explain various things relating to the facility and BC in general. Well, this is the office. We conduct all kinds of experimental data analysis here. From a chiefly biological standpoint, BC is a function of brain activity, and thus... Marchetto and the other students listened on curiously, but Natsuhiko was completely inattentive. For a cutting-edge research facility, they got a pretty ordinary-looking office. He was merely pondering dumb thoughts like that. In contrast to Natsuhiko, the most curious of them all was... I see, that's so enlightening. Their leader, Ina. Do you do BC particle research here too? Research on that front takes place at a different laboratory. It's highly classified information, so we can't show you, however. For example, one certain laboratory conducts research on the function of intercerebral mind particles and their interaction with wanderer particles. What about measurement and analysis of the energy generated intracerebral during BC usage? Yes, naturally we conduct research on that as well. In your fucking brain, son. For example, in the case of a level 4 communicator, a maximum of 10 microscalar values of energy, and thus Ina and the staff member essentially had a one-on-one conversation ignoring the students, and eventually the field trip came to a close. Okay everybody, how was it? Did you find everything fun? As they left the facility, Ina spoke to the lined up students. Aren't you the one who had the most fun, Miss Ina? You started getting all technical on us, so we couldn't keep up. A few students laughed at Mashiro's jab. You're right, I'm sorry. I can't have talks like that with other teachers, so I got carried away back then. There. How embarrassing. Anyway, that's it for classes today. There's a bus back to school, but you may also split up here if you'd like. Okay. Be careful on your way back, everyone. The field trip's not over until you get home. And with that piece of advice, the field trip was over. No, it's not over until you get home. She just said that. The students dispersed in every which way. Since Natsuhiko and the others were not part of any clubs and thus had no business on campus after school, they decided to head straight home. Alrighty. How about we head home, Natsuhiko? Yeah, sure. Natsuhiko half-heartedly replied. Aw, man, I'm kinda tired. A sharp-sighted Ina caught sight of Natsuhiko's yawn and called out to him. You sure seem tired, Mr. Tenkawa. Ah, Professor. Ina smiled dryly when Natsuhiko twitched. You were spacing out during the field trip too, weren't you? We can't be having any of that. I'm sorry. You really don't like parapsychology, do you, Mr. Tenkawa? That makes me a little sad as your parapsychology teacher. No, it's not that, Professor. It's just... I'm not too good with BC itself, actually. It's hard to explain. Natsuhiko spoke what was on his mind, upon which Mashiro cut in beside him. Natsuhiko didn't hate BC this much in the past, but it looks like he's becoming more self-aware of how he's not good at it these past few years. I see. But there have always been people like that. Ina smiled somewhat sadly as she spoke, and I'd like to change their perspectives, if at all possible. And that's kind of why I became a parapsychology teacher. Even though I'm not a communicator myself. Is that strange? No, I don't find it strange in the slightest. Natsuhiko struggled to find a reply. Just as Ina said, she was a parapsychology teacher, but she couldn't use BC in the slightest. But for someone of Ina's generation, that was only natural. The great worldwide communicator boom only began about 16 years ago after all. The vast majority of those born before that couldn't use BC. Even the teachers at Rokume Academy were no exception, however. Natsuhiko was somewhat fond of having a female teacher this close to his own age. And so in a rare display of goodwill, Natsuhiko gave reluctant words of encouragement. I think that's commendable. I heard there aren't many people striving to become parapsychology teachers. Thanks. But what gave you the motivation, Miss Ina? I heard that there were a lot of people who hated BC in your generation. Well, Miss Toba, I believe that it's because I believe my efforts will be crucial to the society of tomorrow. Ina's face suddenly turned serious at that point in the conversation. Interpersonal relations are going through a huge turnabout. As a result, I'm sure society will too. Currently, every nation is striving to research BC and protect communicators after all. Everyone's waiting to see what possibilities you guys will bring. Possibilities? For example, telepathy allows for telepaths to directly convey emotions to their targets, doesn't it? That ability is expected to have practical applications for psychological treatments. For example, if you set a target patient a lot of cheerful emotions, you could perhaps eliminate the negative emotions that are causing their psychological disorder. I see, that does sound like a good use case scenario. You think maybe even our school could produce that sort of new type therapist? Of course, but on the other hand, BC is dangerous if handled improperly. The history of BC is still mostly unwritten. Nobody knows for sure whether it'll be a benevolent art or a malevolent one. But since it's here to stay, I want to help guide the young communicators towards making it a benevolent one. And that's why I pursued my career. Ina was usually playful, but here she spoke with a serious tone of voice. Miss Ina, that's so cool. I respect you even more now. Yeah, and respect is the best thing you can ever give to a teacher. As Ina spoke, she glanced at Natsuhiko. So, Mr. Tenkawa, that's why I want all my students to have a correct understanding of BC. Yes, Professor. Today's field trip as well, all the usual practice drills, are all part of the curriculum to achieve that. You mustn't hate BC until you've a complete understanding of it. Okay? I see. Okay. I guess I'll give it a shot. Good, that's all I asked for now. And with that, Ina turned back. Okay, I'll go speak with that staff member one last time. See you tomorrow at school. Okay, see you tomorrow. Goodbye, Miss Ina. And with that exchange of farewells, they parted ways with Ina. And once Ina was out of earshot, Masato accosted Natsuhiko with a mischievous smile. Good grief, Natsuhiko, you really suck up to Miss Ina, huh? Is that what it'll look like? Well, yeah, mister, I'll give it a shot. It's not like you're actually going to even try. Bullseye. He himself had forgotten in the heat of the moment, but Natsuhiko staunchly hated BC. His classmates were mastering telepathy one by one, but no matter how much time had passed, Natsuhiko remained at ability level 0. He would completely lose motivation during parapsychology lessons, even now when Ina was the parapsychology teacher. But still, it would probably hurt her if I answered honestly. True, Miss Ina really loves BC after all. No, it's not just that, I mean, she said BC is dangerous if handled improperly too. So I wonder if she's had bad experiences relating to BC in the past. I mean, I'm sure that's why she was talking all seriously. You must really be staring at her to catch something like that. Right as Masato said that, a voice suddenly came up from behind. Do you two agree? Huh? They turn around in surprise to see Salyu standing there behind them. Salyu? What's all this all of a sudden? Do we agree about what? Do you agree BC is dangerous if handled improperly? That was the first time Salyu was the one to initiate conversation. Natsuhiko answered, somewhat surprised. No, well, that's what they used to say in the past. Was it different in France? Dunno. What do you mean you don't know? What are you trying to say? Nothing, just wanted to hear your opinion. I'm done, bye. And with that, Salyu promptly tried to leave. Huh? Hey! Hang on a second, Salyu. What? Since we're all out here anyway, why not go home together? The bus will be here any moment now to take us to the residential area. No thanks, I have somewhere to go. Salyu turned down Masato's offer and walked away, leaving just the two of them behind. What was that about? She sure is a girl full of mysteries, huh? After a moment of confusion, they headed to the bus stop, still at a loss to explain what happened. Natsuhiko boarded the bus back home. Man, there's something strange about that girl. Masato turned her head to the side in response to Natsuhiko's comment. Oh, Salyu? Well, yeah, I mean, she asked us a weird question all of a sudden, and then she didn't bother explaining it. One moment she's staring at us, the other she's keeping her distance. I don't understand what she's trying to say. Hey, don't say something sad like that. I mean, we're just going to be friends and all. I'm sure Salyu's just nervous about whether we'll go home with her after tomorrow or not. I don't know, I mean, I'm a little doubtful if she even thinks of us as friends. Jeez, Natsuhiko, you keep your guard up too high. You weren't like that in the past. You used to make friends easily with everyone. Well, yeah, that was when I was a kid. Dealing with people's different when you're in high school. You're so stubborn, for real. As soon as Masato finished speaking, an announcement rang out on the bus speaker. Next stop, Rokume Park. At Rokume Park, please press the stop button to request a stop. Oh, Rokume Park. That brings back memories. Oh yeah, we used to play there a lot when we were kids, huh? And true enough, outside the window was a huge park. Since I usually don't take this way back, the bus route was different. Hey, why don't we drop by since we're talking about our childhood anyway? Nah, if we get off here, it'll be quite a walk back home. Oh, come on, let's go reclaim your inner child. Fine, if you insist. There's something persuasive about Masato's persistence. Natsuhiko pressed the stop button out of necessity. Once they got off the bus, a park spread out before them. A refreshing afternoon breeze blew through the trees. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here, because we are definitely out of time for today. It looks like we're going to be doing about 45-minute episodes. It's a bit longer than usual, but you got to get to a point where it's adequate to, chop it off. Can't go in the middle of a scene, Now we've got Salyu in the story. Interesting. She's a bit cold, but we'll see where that goes, I suppose. Then we're going back and forth in time, and it's getting very confusing, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out to me, and I'll see you in the next one.